Oh, hi. This week, I'm finally showing the part 2 of my pattern hoard, which includes independent stuff and self-drafted things. I cannot believe how many patterns were in the last video, so I don't want to say I have less for this and then be surprised again, so let's figure it out together. So y'all know I love the Tilly and the Buttons pattern books. I cannot recommend enough, no matter what level you're at. Something about the way she explains stuff really works for me. I have all 3 of her books and then various versions of her patterns. I've used a lot of them as like a jumping off point to do other things, so I've, you know, bastardized / used some artistic licensing to make them more my own. Then, I don't actually remember what else is in this binder. This says fixed / ortho, and if you didn't know, I worked in the dental industry for over a dozen years and not willing to go back, but I still have some remnants from that life. Oh, that's right. Okay, so I just saved some pages that I copied from some library books that I didn't want to keep, meaning it wasn't enough information like the Tilly books for me to want to own them. I am forever wanting to learn things. That's the whole point of this here channel. There were like little snippets here and there about cosplay things and wig styling, and I do plan to do more of that kind of stuff going forward, where I haven't done like any wig stuff. And there's also just other craft things like lino block carving. So yeah, it was like the first thing I did when I got my new printer, which also works as a copier, is I just got a bunch of books and then found my favorite bits and put it in here. Although obviously I haven't looked through it recently because I forgot what was even in here. So good to have this refresher. Much like going through the commercial patterns, it was nice having my hands on some stuff I haven't seen or looked at or looked for in a long time, and definitely forgot that I had, because out of sight, out of mind, baby. This, is all my like mini bag patterns I'm not currently wanting to use. I have some which I should grab because those are in fact patterns. These are some, actually I am gonna pack this one away because I don't really have interest in making any more of these, but small bag patterns. A lot of them have plastic pieces that I cut out just to have a more durable version than just paper pattern pieces. These are out of cutting mats from the dollar store. That was a tip I got from my fairy god Cheryl, and cannot recommend enough for like small bits like this. And then there's a cardboard piece that's just a little ways in on all the edges, and that's the size of the interfacing. I really like having a separate pattern piece that's a little smaller on straightforward shapes like this, so I can be as efficient as possible with my interfacing, because I find that's always more expensive than pretty much any fabric I end up purchasing. But this is the keychain dog bag thing. I'll put a link here. This is the main pattern and the interfacing pattern. Here's what I mean. It's just like ½ inch in from all of the edges, because you don't need to interface your seam allowances. But yeah, this is the pattern for my wristlets and, you know, box corner zipper pouches, all of those. These are also available on my Patreon for free. You don't have to donate. It's public access. It's just, I don't know where else to put those photos and references and like the schematics I come up with. But keychain dog bag, zipper pouch. I have 2 versions of this, so there's one that's a little more basic. And this is one I don't know if I want to make more or not. I may pack this away, but it's the dumpling pouches. I did not make this pattern. It is from Michelle Patterns, and she's fine with people using them as long as you give her credit. I did a whole video walkthrough on all of the ones I've shown you so far, so if you want to check those out, they're really fun to make. I'm on the fence if I'm going to end up making more of those, unless I want a specific one. All right, and then for other bag patterns, I have this accordion folder, triangle dice bag, a ball toy. That's right, when I first got Bert, our rescue dachshund, I made him some little beach ball toys. This is the original zipper pouch design. Again, more basic, smaller. It has been leveled up since then. Oh, here's the pattern and the cutout pieces that I cut too many of for the dice bags. Oh, that's right. I was kind of noodling around with a new design. I wanted to try making just like a round, I didn't do a very clean job of sewing this, but I wanted to test out the shape and size of just making a little round keychain bag like this, little coin pouch to go on someone's keys. Needs more workshopping, and I'm actually going to set this out because I want to remind myself to work on it. So I think I'm going to put most of these in here. Oh, I just remembered I need to make another dog bag for somebody, so I'm glad I set that aside. I hate how I have to like trick myself into remembering things, but you know, you work with what you got. I have, oh, right, okay. So these are 2 skirt self-drafted patterns. Videos on these 2. This is for the inside circle of a circle skirt, which is the harder math to figure out, is your like waist radius. And then I have the pattern for the waistband. So I forgot about this. That's a smart way to go about it, because having a giant circle skirt pattern, they get big. So I don't need to do that every single time, because often I'm just trying to get as much length as possible off of whatever yardage I have for a circle skirt. So I really only need that inner curve. And then, oh, this looks like an A-line. Right, I made that like denim one however long ago. That information should also be available in the places I have mentioned. I promise I'm not trying to like over promote my own stuff. I just forgot how many videos I have done on all of these things. This, oh, they're called Hogwarts robes, but you know, fuck turfs. Just robes, perhaps. I have a couple versions. That's some of the first stuff I ever sewed, where I don't know how good these patterns are, actually. It's been a long time since I've looked at them for obvious reasons, so I'm gonna have to review these and see. Maybe use that paper for something else. And then, what is this? Oh, that's right. One of y'all sent me the pattern for a bralette, and I also have some underwear set aside in here that I want to copy and make more of, because I want to just be able to make all my own stuff. And I am also working on a new bag pattern, but there's a lot more workshopping that I need to do than I thought, because math is hard. So I'm gonna keep futzing with that, and then, you know, I'll show you a whole walkthrough once I get there. But I thought I'd share my shame pile, which is all the stuff I've printed out but have not A, put together, and B, actually used to sew something. So this is mostly just a reminder to try to figure out how to make the walkaway dress. I did see the Closet Historian just posted a video on how they made their own pattern blocks to start with off their measurements, and then went from there because they don't mess with commercial patterns. I am intrigued as to how this goes together, but it's also really hard to find the pattern, even the reproduction one. So I think I will be following their video on the process and seeing if I can't like mash up some of my own knowledge and patterns I've made for myself with their information. And I'm also just curious how they go about it, because I've seen a couple of people walk through this, but I have yet to do it myself. Oh, okay, so there's patterns for pirates. I remember there's some free patterns that they have available, and one of them is a dog raglan outfit that I definitely want to make. A beanie I want to try, because I don't understand hats very well. There's a witch hat. I also have a pattern for some leggings from them. So yeah, they have a bunch of free patterns. Some you can also purchase, but like very rad of them to make that information available to everyone. It's why I do that with all of my patterns as well. I don't like gatekeeping information. That's all we do here, is share information. Okay, and then I think I paid for this pattern. It's called a robe jacket. Peppermint. I don't remember if this was free or just like on sale at the time, but yeah, Peppermint robe jacket. Peppermint Pattern Company. Or the jacket is called Peppermint and it's by Common Stitch. Is that the name of the company? I should know this more, considering this is like the space I spend a lot of time in. Then one I am very excited about is the Coqueliette skirt. I'm probably not pronouncing that right, but it's an adjustable skirt with pockets by Wildflower Design, and I cannot wait to put it together. I've absolutely loved so many people's versions of it. I think the first one I saw was from Shannon Makes, and I also really like their content. And then, oh, this is not sewing patterns, but it is a little pamphlet about fight or flight responses and working through panic attacks. Yeah, I didn't realize that was in that pile. Okay, that's not everything. I have the patterns that I have taped together, and some/most of them I have made, but I have a new storage solution for them that I'm so excited about, where they just used to be in a pile somewhere, and this is just way easier to wrap my head around. There's also a couple things that I've taken apart, like basically making a pattern off of an old garment. You probably figured that out before I had to over-explain it, but I'm going to show you how I organized this stuff, and it's a huge space-saving situation, especially because I already have a costume rack in my shop. Not that it's anything expansive, but you know, it helps a lot. So let's go to the other side of the studio. Are we ready? So here are some of the costumes. There's also a kite that I've never flown. Don't worry about it. I made my own kite for a school project once and then was gifted that by my sister. So I still have it. I just don't use it because I'm afraid to break it. So to shout out my fairy godchild, she had sent me a curtain rod to hang up on the wall and set up a backdrop situation. She also sent me these really awesome clips for hanging curtains. But I've also figured out very helpful for hanging stuff up at markets off of my display, but also for organizing my patterns and clipping each one together and hanging it up instead of having all of this folded up in a messy pile on I don't have a lot of surface area to put things on. So hanging it here, it doesn't take up a lot of space this way, so it's not taking over my whole costume rack. It's so good. So this is my very exciting new storage solution. As I mentioned, things I've taken apart. This is a dog snuggie. This is a dress I took apart. Is like a strapless 2-dart situation with like an A-line skirt to it. I like it and I want to make a new one. I'm just not like a cherry person. Then another bag pattern that was free and I cannot recommend enough. I've been having a lot of fun making it. Here's some pictures of the 2 I've already made, but I have a very exciting version I'm going to start working on to see if I can't make a Pochita version. If anybody's seen Chainsaw Man, I got an idea happening. And yeah, but this is from Swoon Patterns. It's the Summer Festival Sling, and I'm obsessed with making it. I will probably end up sewing another one after I finish filming this. Then I have that Butterick 6453, the Patterns by Gertie one that I absolutely love. It's the princess seam bodice, and then I just make whatever kind of skirt I want to attach to it, but this is the one I workshopped a bunch of times and it finally made to like fit myself perfectly. Although, here's the cool thing about that adjustable skirt I want to make. Bodies fluctuate. Thankfully, I tend to hover within a certain range, so sometimes things won't fit quite as well, but I usually swing back into the high or low end of that range and like can kind of rotate through things. Oh, this is the pattern I made for the Totoro hoodie that I made. So I have a comic book convention in September, like mid-September, that I'm gonna be working, and hadn't thought about making more character hoodies, but I think I have other ideas for stuff, and I think that's a good idea. I'm gonna have to keep this in mind. More free patterns. Listen, like I have a big pattern collection, but it's not like I've dumped tons and tons and tons of money into this. There are a couple purchased ones in here, and I'll let you know which ones those are, but Mood patterns, like Thank You Mood from Project Runway. Yes, their in-store fabric is very expensive, as I can attest to. Anything I've ever wanted, it is so far out of my price range, but they do have a lot of free patterns, like a lot of free patterns on their website. I have a multitude of shorts patterns. I still haven't honed in on a set that works well for me, but I think an amalgamation of the 3 or 4 that I tried is definitely the answer. I have that big circle wrap skirt. I made it out of this like Snoopy fabric, and it was just too many panels. I think I would enjoy wearing it if I made it so there was less of an overlap, where I know, like, obviously it's for preserving one's modesty, but it overlaps too much, I think. And I always wear bike shorts underneath my skirts and dresses, so I'm not at risk of flashing anybody. So not like my top concern. Oh, that French dress that I made. I did pay for this. It was maybe like $10 or $15. Comme une fleur. I know I didn't say that with proper inflection, but it's the robe azurine. It's such a flattering dress, and the way that I've altered the pattern to make it fit that little bit better. I have made, I think, 3 or 4 versions of that. One of them is maybe the dress I wear the most, and I have more fabric set aside to make more of those. I just haven't dedicated the time to doing it. Are we sensing a theme here? I get excited about things and then do not fucking do them. This is a pattern for a trench coat that I have not messed around with. It was given to me by my fairy godchild. Then I have, Lila and June. This pattern company does not exist anymore, but they had a free one, which was that wrap skirt that I made. But there's also 2 dresses. One I haven't even printed out yet, which is, I think, called the picnic dress. And I can't fully remember what the top looks like, but this is the sweetheart neckline dress. And this one's taped together and cut out. The other one I haven't even printed yet, so I will I will eventually get there. Then, okay, there's another dress, another free one from Mood called the Shirley dress that looks like it has some darts. I don't know what about it was speaking to me because there's not like a good diagram on here. If something here that I haven't made is jumping out at you and you want to see me work on it, please let me know what thing you're most excited about, and that'll maybe help me decide, because currently I want to make all of them, and what then happens is I don't make anything because I get too overwhelmed. I think this last one, oh yes, it is the Nia dress from Petite Stitchery. It's one of the most flattering dresses I've ever, it's very exposed up here, but I don't think in a bad way. I'm just not used to having, well, I'm more used to it now, but I used to never be able to wear something that exposed more than like here down. Listen, I grew up in a very strictly Catholic household, so like of course I felt that way about myself. There's one tweak I want to make to the pattern. I also didn't pick very good fabric to make with that, but I have some really good knits that I want to try that out with again. And I did shorten it too much for my comfort, so I think just adjusting that. I don't think there's much tweaking I need to do, but the fact there's any tweaking, you know what? Here's the beauty of the curtain clips is I can just pop it off of here and hang it up in my way so that I am more inclined to actually do this one. I really, really want to figure this pattern out. I'm very close. It was very easy to follow. I really enjoyed working on it, and there's a ton of different options you can make with it. So I want to spend more time working on it. So yeah. I do think that that is everything, other than some of my other sewing books. I have the Colette sewing book that I haven't worked through. I have a couple of Gertie books that I haven't worked through. I feel like a handful of y'all have done some Gertie stuff, so if you have specific ones that you really like. I don't have anything from their like charm pattern line, although I follow them on Instagram and I am in love with so many of the things that they come out with, so not opposed to it. But there's only so many hours in the day, you know? So yes, I'm going to put the Nia dress in my way. That'll get me to throw some more summer garb together, because I haven't made a new summer dress in a minute. I know I constantly complain about the summer while it's happening, but it is truly my least favorite part of the year because I'm just deeply uncomfortable for months. I hate it very much. And I'm covered in bug bites. If you have seen any like pink splotches, it's calamine lotion. I remember being very fond of the pink bottle of calamine lotion we had at our house growing up, and then if I was at someone else's house, like an aunt or uncle's place, and they didn't have any, and it was summertime and we spent any time outside, I just remember getting so upset, like, why do you not have this medicine? Because mosquitoes love me, so I get more bites than most people I end up hanging out with, which is why people like hanging out with me outside, because I draw them all away from the other people I'm hanging out with. But I get a lot of them, and also they often end up turning into like welts. Not all of them, but often. So it like itches, but also like hurts and is big, and it takes weeks to go away. So yeah, I'm just going to be covered in bumps for the foreseeable future. But such is life. The biggest upgrade for this summer, and I will explain to you how I was able to do this in a moment, was finally got a dehumidifier. What a lot of people don't seem to know about the Northeast is that it's so humid in the summertime. It is so humid. And you would think that like we're known for our winters and the fall and crisp leaves and seeing your own breath, having a cup of hot apple cider, but so much of the year you're just sticky forever, and it's not my favorite. But a dehumidifier, we've had it going for about 24 hours and I have dumped gallons of water out. It's absolutely wild, and it's only lowered the humidity percentage like 5% maybe, but it's below 70% now, so like relief is on the way. The only way I was able to afford acquiring this thing, because not only is it for my own comfort in the shop, we don't have air conditioning in my house, so like I don't like being profusely sweaty while trying to work on stuff and having the studio lights on. I have a hard time in the summer if this isn't coming across. My brain feels like absolute mashed potatoes as well, so I know I am functioning worse in a multitude of ways. But the other big thing is I have a bunch of fabric inventory, like fabric in my storage spaces, but also like stuff I've already made, bags and clothes and things that I don't want getting mildewy. So having a dehumidifier is going to help keep both my like stockpile of fabric to use for things and my actual like Etsy shop stores in better condition. I was only able to get that because of everybody over on my Patreon. I physically wrote out the list last week and some of y'all seemed excited about it, so I'll hold it up again instead of doing the little scroll across the screen. There haven't been any changes to who's on here, so yeah, thank you for making my whole life more comfortable in so many ways. The fact that I get to spend time doing this and sharing my stuff with you and having the freedom I get to pick whatever I feel like working on a particular day. In most cases, I know I promise to do things and then don't always follow through, but sometimes I do. I did say I would do this video probably sooner than I'm doing it, but you know, we got there eventually. But it's thanks to all of these folks that I get to do this. Also, very kind bosses in that I messed up last week where I post on Fridays. I post it on Fridays. It used to be at noon, but I have a much less stressful day when I post at 5 p.m. because then I don't spend every minute past noon just like checking things and getting my head all caught up in stuff, where by 5 p.m. I'm usually like doing stuff, cooking dinner, watching a movie, something like that, and am spending time with other people probably. So it's just off my radar, and I obviously can still receive comments and all that stuff and see how it's doing, but I'm not obsessively checking it. And I also have time to like fine tune the thumbnail or something like that if I want to the afternoon of the video going out, where I don't have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to do any final tweaks. I can just do it over the course of the morning / maybe into the afternoon if it's been a tough week. I have been having a difficult time feeling better, but like my brain was absolutely in the shitter for a good stretch of time there, and I don't entirely know why. I'm sure the heat and me being uncomfortable and grumpy is not helping things. Entirely lost track of where I was going. I don't even remember what words I was just saying. This is what I mean, but I'm having a hard time and my brain is mincemeat. I can't brain. The example of last week where, again, usually post on Fridays, I think my video went up like Tuesday night or sometime on Wednesday. Just, I don't know. I don't know how I managed to do that. So to everyone that was like, oh, everything okay? Weird that you posted early. And then people that didn't see a new video Friday. I cannot tell you how much it meant to me that there's anybody that like waits for my videos to come out. Because there's a handful of people I follow that I do genuinely look forward to. All right, it's, you know, late on a Friday night or early on a Saturday morning. And if it's one of her on weeks, there's a new Rachel Maxey video. Super exciting. I do the same with podcasts and stuff like Promania 500. They actually shouted my business out because I sent them a little care package, which that was not the intention, was to get anything from them for it. I just thought they might like some gifts, and I like their podcast, so I thought it was like a cute, fun way to support them. And yeah, that was very, very generous of them. I don't know if any of you listen to Promania 500, but I really enjoy that podcast. Definitely have creators that I anticipate their newest thing coming out whenever they schedule it. So being one of those people, to some of y'all, that hadn't fully occurred to me. I think Carrie was the first person to mention that. That means a lot. I have that flexibility in accidentally posting on a Tuesday and not having a video up on a Friday because of everybody supporting me over on Patreon. Like, you are why I get to do this for a job. So thank you all for being here. Thank you everybody that's bought from my Etsy shop or even just interacted with my Etsy shop. Like, obviously I appreciate people that financially support by purchasing stuff over there, but even if you're just favoriting things that you like, I have some new bag styles up there that I'm very pumped about. Even just following or liking some of my business Instagram. All the business stuff is called Sewing Nerd Studios. Also, I definitely confuse people because my username here is holycrappitsjo, but I have a separate, but also kind of intertwined business presence. But yeah, if you're looking for anything like the business Facebook or Etsy or Instagram, it's all Sewing Nerd Studios. So hopefully that is helpful. Yeah, I am gonna go sit in front of a box fan for about 20 minutes and eat an Otter Pop. I will see you all back here with a new video next Friday. Promise it won't be some other random day of the week. Thank you so much for hanging out. Also, yes, I haven't had all the lights on in here for very long and I am profusely sweating.